Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at the Warhammer 40,000 faction focus Necrons. This video is sponsored by CML Games. More on that later. Their number is Legion. Their name is Death. The Necrons are an ancient civilization who ruled the galaxy millions of years before humans first walked Terra. In order to claim victory in an epic and apocryphal war against their ancient rivals, they used advanced technology to transfer their consciousness of their entire race into mechanical bodies. They then sealed themselves away, planning to awaken in the far future of galaxy ripe for conquest. Now, as they awake from their slumber, the Necrons find that instead of rolling over and dying out as expected, many other races have emerged to lay claim in large chunks of the galaxy. And the Tyranids have even arrived from another galaxy entirely. Overview. Necrons have long been an army of implacable silent warriors, marching forward in an unstoppable phalanx of flesh-stripping Gauss fire. This is still true. But now, many larger constructs, such as Canoptic Doomstalkers, Triarch Stalkers, Canoptic Spiders, and Ghost Ark, follow the trend of much increased toughness. Combined with the reduction in armor penetration, your army will feel like a truly indestructible force of living metal. Faction rules. Necron armies can field a wide variety of units, from humble Canoptic Scarabs to shards of fallen star gods. In between these two extremes, there have reliable foot soldiers such as Immortals, tunneling ambushers like Ophidian Destroyers, and technology-bending cryptex like Psychomancers, Chronomancers, and Technomancers. Reanimation Protocols are the one thing these mechanical marauders all have in common, an army rule that grants Necron models the ability to recover from even lethal damage. Necrons Army Rule. Reanimation Protocols. If your army faction is Necrons, at the end of your command phase, each unit from your army with this ability activates its reanimation protocols and reanimates 1d3 wounds. Each time such a unit reanimates a wound. Bullet point 1. If that unit contains one or more model with fewer than their starting number of wounds remaining, select one of those models. The model regains one lost wound. If all models in the unit have their starting number of wounds, but that unit is not at its starting strength, one destroyed model is returned to the unit with one wound remaining. Once such a unit is at starting strength and all of its models have their starting number of wounds, nothing further happens. So at the end of your command phase, anyone with reanimation protocols, which so far I've seen it's on everything, will reanimate a D3 wounds. So first it's going to heal any damaged models in the unit, and then after that it's going to start bringing back models with a single wound remaining, and then attempt to heal those models until you run out of your, in this case, D3 wounds. This ability is an old friend to the Necron players, but it's now simpler and more reliable than ever. There's nothing better for any self-respecting overlord than to look on an opponent's face when the limbs reattach, smashed skulls rejoin sundered torsos, and the Necrons stand back up, ready to fight again. Even the most durable Necron chassis pales in comparison to the indomitable will of their nobility. The Awakened Dynasty detachment rule is command protocols, which makes your units even more accurate when a leader is around to impose their deathless dominion, and helps keep their units above half strength to avoid battle shock tests. So Necron's Awakened Dynasty detachment rule, command protocols. While the Necron character model is leading this unit, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. This is on top of any other abilities that your leader gives their bodyguards. You want to make sure that you've got plenty of characters hanging out some metal minions to really make the most of this. On to the unit spotlight. Do you think the Space Marines had hit the jackpot with the Land Raider, a tank, and a transport? Well, anything Arkan Land can do, the Necrons can do better. Check out the new stats for the Monolith. So we see the Monolith war gear options. This model's 4 Gauss Flux Arcs can be replaced with 4 Death Rays. Unit composition, 1 Monolith. This model is equipped with 4 Gauss Flux Arcs, Particle Whip, and Portal of Exile. So Monolith movement 7, toughness 14, save 2+, wounds 20, leadership 7+, OC 8. And then for the ranged weapons, we have the Death Ray, the Gauss Flux Arc, and the Particle Whip. The Death Ray has sustained hits D3, range 24, 1 attack, ballistic skill 3+, strength 12, -4, D6 +1. So we know you could have a total of 4 Death Rays if you wanted instead of the Gauss Flux Arcs. And then for the Gauss Flux Arcs, they have lethal hits, rapid fire 3, 24-inch range, 3 shots each, ballistic skill 3+, strength 6, -1 AP, 1 damage. And then finally for the Particle Whip, it is a blast and devastating wounds, 24-inch range, 3 D6 shots, ballistic skill 3+, strength 8, -1 AP, and 2 damage. And then for the melee weapons, we have the Portal of Exile. Melee attack 6, wounds 2+, strength 8, AP -2, damage 3. And then for the abilities, it has Core, Deadly Demise D6, and Deep Strike. Faction, Reanimation Protocols, and Eternity Gate. In the reinforcement step of your movement phase, you can select one Necron infantry unit from your army that is either in reserves or on the battlefield. If you select the latter, remove that unit from the battlefield and place it into reserves. That unit is then set up anywhere on the battlefield that is wholly within 6 of this model and not within engagement range of any enemy models. This unit cannot declare a charge this turn. So very cool ability. You can essentially just pick a unit up off the table or select one that is already in reserves and then deep strike that unit within 6 inches of the monolith. And then finally we have the damaged, 1 to 7 wounds remaining. While this model has 1 to 7 wounds remaining, subtract 4 from its objective control characteristic, and each time this model makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So very strong. This is the maximum toughness we will see in the game. Toughness 14, wounds 20 with a 2+ save. This thing is very strong. And it does have reanimation protocols, so it's going to be healing every turn as well. So perhaps it is time to dust off the old monolith. A spray of antimatter from the particle whip will remove whole handfuls of Space Marines from the table, and an assemblage of gauze flux orcs can chew through a truly worrying amount of infantry, or you can swap them out for the appropriately named Death Rays, which have the stats to kill pretty much anything. With an objective control value of 8, the Monolith is great for sticking on vital objectives in the middle of the board, where you can use its Eternity Gate to call in your infantry units from strategic reserves or from right across the battlefield. The best candidates for teleporting around in such ways are the humble Necron Warriors. They're little more than mindless automatons. But what these robotic regiments lack in initiative, they more than make up for in utter relentlessness. Alright, so let's check out the Necron Warriors. Movement 5, Toughness 4, Save 4+, Wounds 1, Leadership 7+, OC 2. And ranged weapons, they have either a Gauss Flare or a Gauss Reaper. Gauss Flare is lethal hits, rapid fire 1. Gauss Reaper is lethal hits. The Flare has 24-inch range. The Reaper has only 12-inch range. 1 attack on the Flare, 2 attacks on the Reaper. Both are ballistic skill 4. The Flare is strength 4. The Reaper is strength 5. AP 0 on the Flare, AP -1 on the Gauss Reaper. And then finally, 1 damage either way. And then for melee weapons, they have close combat weapon, attacks 1, weapon skill 4+, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. And then for their abilities, faction reanimation protocols, their number is Legion. Each time this unit's reanimation protocols activate, it reanimates a D6 wounds instead of a D3 wounds, unless it is within range of an objective marker you control, in which case it reanimates a D3 plus 3 wounds instead. So very cool. Necron Warriors will always reanimate a D6 instead of a D3. And if they are on an objective that you control, they will reanimate 4 to 6 wounds automatically. So Necrons are going to be very strong for holding objectives, and it will be very important to wipe out entire units of Necrons. Their number is Legion, makes the most of reanimation protocols. They'll just keep coming, forcing your opponent to wipe them out entirely or contend with them all game. And all that effort that's going into your Necron Warriors isn't going into the rest of your army. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CML Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CML Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CML Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch, and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMLGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CML Games from Warhammer Man. Now, back to the video. Alright, and next we have the Weapon Spotlight. Necron Warriors will kill a lot of enemies with their Gauss Flares and Reapers through sheer weight of firepower. But if you really need to obliterate something absolutely right now, might we recommend the Doomsday Cannon. So here you have the Doomsday Cannon on the Doomsday Arc, and it is Blast Heavy, range 72, attacks D6 plus 1, ballistic skill 3 up, strength 15, AP -4, damage 4. So if you get 7 shots with this thing and you hit and wound with all of them, you could be doing up to 28 damage, which is obviously very unlikely, but very strong. and then overwhelming obliteration. In your movement phase, if this model remains stationary until the end of the turn, its Doomsday Cannon has the devastating wounds ability. So we know that everything has gotten much more durable, but we see also that a lot of the weapons have gotten much stronger as well. So I think that's going to be good because it's going to increase the durability of vehicles against weaker weapons, but they're still going to be able to be blasted out of existence with the stronger weapons. And that's really going to alleviate some of the issues that we had with essentially just volume of fire being better at accomplishing tasks than actual dedicated weapons. So it's really cool to have dedicated weapons to blow vehicles up. And sure, you should be able to chip a couple wounds off of vehicles with a bunch of firepower. But in the previous editions, it was just too easy for volume of fire to bring down tough and durable targets. And I think that that's what they're really trying to fix here. And so far, it looks like they've done it. Because the big weapons will still hit hard and still be able to pick these pieces up. But the small weapons are going to be substantially less powerful. If you still need a little extra help with enemy vehicles, it's time to call in the Katan Shard of the Void Dragon. Its particle spitting spear makes the lightest work of tanks and other fighting vehicles with anti-vehicle 2+, and its sweep profile will melt infantry 2. So we see the spear of the Void Dragon, strike anti-vehicle 2+. So I believe the anti-vehicle means that against vehicles, it wounds on a 2+. So if it's attacks 5, weapon skill 2+, strength 12, AP -3, and damage D6 +2. So normally against vehicles with a toughness 13 and 14, you would need 5s to wound. But I'm pretty sure this thing is going to be wounding on 2s if I'm correct about that anti-vehicle rule. And with -3 AP and a D6 +2 damage, the Void Dragon can definitely pick up some vehicles. And then we see the sweep attack, 10 attacks total, weapon skill 3, strength 8, -1 AP, and damage 2. And you do give up the anti-vehicle rule for this. That's just what you'd expect when you unleash a shard of the Star God on anyone foolish enough to stand in your way. Alright, and then next we have the Stratagem Spotlight. As with the other forces in the new edition of Warhammer 40,000, the Necrons have 6 detachment-specific stratagems. The Protocol of the Hungry Void stratagem is your go-to for slicing your way through the galaxy's younger races. So, Protocol of the Hungry Void, Awakened Dynasty Battle Tactics Stratagem. When? Fight phase. 1 command point. Target 1 Necron unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase. Effect. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the strength characteristic of melee weapons equipped by models in your unit. In addition, if a Necron character is leading your unit, until the end of the phase, improve the armor penetration characteristic of melee weapons equipped by models in your unit by 1. So for 1 command point, you pick a Necron unit that has not fought this phase, you add 1 to their strength, and if they have an attached character, they get an additional 1 AP as well. So good for your dedicated units, especially if they are led by a character. This is perfect for dedicated close combat units such as Flayed Ones or Scorpek Destroyers, especially if they're led by a Scorpek Lord. It just goes to show that while Necrons might have emotionless faces, they are more than capable of getting angry. So pretty cool. What we've seen so far from the stratagems is they are definitely situational, but they're also broad, and there's a lot less of them to use. And I definitely think that that is important. Because the truth is, if you go through every single book and you look, there's maybe like 20 or 30 stratagems, multiple pages of them. And if you look at realistically in-game what stratagems get used and how often, you could probably pick 5 or 6 of them that are getting 90% of the use. And I think all they did was just get rid of some of the less used ones in order to just focus and simplify the game. And I think that's great. And finally, a word from the studio. We wanted to capture the feeling that you are facing a slow, creeping, unending legion of deathless foes. Their reanimation protocols will, given enough time, regenerate every unit to full strength. We also wanted to instill the idea that the mass ranks are under the control of immortal leaders, by whose will and command their legions fight with such unnerving coordination and lethality. Command protocols and characters are therefore the main theme behind the Awakened Legion's detachment. We are excited to see what players make of the new datasheets for Necrons. Their ancient and deadly technologies have been represented by a variety of special abilities. So yeah, very cool. I definitely think that they are leaning in on the flavor of the Necrons. And while I personally am not a Necron player, I can definitely see the appeal. My brother, however, has been playing Necrons since the early editions when they had only a couple of models. So I will definitely be looking forward to, or dreading, depending on how it goes, the never-ending battle that will be eradicating the reanimating Necrons forever. Very, very cool. So let me know what you guys think down below. What do you think of the Necron or other faction rules so far? Do they feel like they're keeping the flavor? Are they living up to the promise of being simplified or streamlined? Do you feel like something is missing, or you're hoping that something is coming down the line? Always like to hear back from you guys. So far, I think the rules are great. I am super excited for the new edition, and hopefully all of the talk from Games Workshop is just going to be backed up by the new, simple, and more fun edition. Special thanks to CML Games for sponsoring the video. Check them out to save 15% on Games Workshop products. Link in the description. And that's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I think we're going to need more bullets. And I'm out of here.